Hey retro gamers. Today we head back to the year 1993 and vanquish evil pigs in all their forms and vehicles in Rocket Knight Adventures for the SEGA Genesis. I'm Eddie Inzauto, and this is Smashing Bricks. Hey, welcome back to Smashing Bricks, a retro gaming podcast, a show about revisiting classic video games together to see if they hold up to the rose tint of nostalgia. This is episode 56. I'm your host, Eddie Inzauto, and today I'm joined by our old pal, Kyle Stallock, Community and Social Director at Annapurna Interactive. Hey, Kyle, long time no chat. How you been?
I have been very busy. We've launched a bunch of games, and I'm happy to be here and talk about a very interesting game.
Yeah, but about you, that's a new title. That's a new workplace.
It is.
What's the cool new thing from Annapurna?
We got Silent Hill Townfall coming down the pipeline. We got a game called Forever Ago that will make everybody cry. It's about an old man coming to terms with the loss of his wife.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And then next year we got lots that we haven't announced yet, but we also have a game called The Lost Wild coming out, which is survival horror with very scientifically accurate dinosaurs. So very, very, very
cool.
excited. Yeah.
And a belated congratulations on the new gig.
Thank you.
Cool, man.
Dream job.
Dream job. Yeah, exactly. That's great. That's amazing. This is what we all wish for our friends, and I wished for it for you, and it worked. What I also wished for you was for you to tell me and all of our listeners your favorite genres. I've been having some of the regular guests do this genre preference thing just to help get us all on the same page with your preferences. So do you want to run through your top 15, well, your only 15 as I gave them to you to order for everybody?
Sure. So I'll do it as quickly as I can and kind of have a little bit of story to it. So number one, it apparently is fighting. So fighting games, I used to compete in Street Fighter, and I don't play a lot of fighting games, but that's because I love my wife. And if I did play more fighting games, she wouldn't have a husband. So, but when I get into it, I get into it really well. Street Fighter, latest 6, I went straight to Master League and kind of quit after that. But yeah, I'm really big into it. Strategy, number 2, so that includes 4X and MOBAs. I have a Dota tattoo on my hand. I have the logo.
Yes, I remember.
So I'm pretty big into that. And then shooters, number 3, Doom, Quake. I love twitchy stuff. 4, action adventure, Zelda, survival. I mean, I don't think any millennial will have action adventure below top 5.
Yeah.
That's the genre we grew up on.
Yeah, so, definitely.
WRPG was Western RPGs. My favorite game of all time is probably Disco Elysium, or maybe second is Red Dead, but Red Dead could even be said that has some RPG elements too. But yeah, 6, action, 7, shmup, bullet hell. In recent years, I listen to a lot of documentaries. I say listen because I have it on the TV, and then I play bullet hell games. Like if there is a Vampire Survivors game on Steam, I have probably played it and gotten every achievement. Yeah, I play a lot of those, man. But it didn't get very high on the list, so it's funny. 8, racing. 9, sim. I thought it'd be higher. Puzzle games at number 10. Sports at 11. Look, I love Tecmo Bowl, and I think we may be talking about that on the bonus round today. But yeah, there's some sports games that have broken the mold. Rhythm games, number 12. I crashed out of those pretty hard after the Guitar Hero and Rock Band era.
Yeah,
you know?
I get that.
And then adventure point and click. I don't have the patience for it. As anyone who wants to hear more about that can go listen to our Myst conversation.
Yep.
14 JRPGs. Yep, not my thing. And then 15 is platformers, which
Whoa.
you said is funny considering the game that we're talking
And considering how much I love platformers.
It's
pretty funny. Yeah. So that's cool. So there's Kyle's top 15. I'll throw those in the Discord, which everybody should be going to, where you can check out all the conversations about all the new and upcoming games and our past games and anything else that we want to talk about. It'll be in the host gaming profiles section. All right. So that's Kyle. That's what he likes. And that's what he's been doing. But hey, retro gamers, want to be a part of the Smashing Bricks conversation? Then come join us on Discord. It's our always free community hangout where we keep the discussion going between episodes. Chat about upcoming and past Smashing Bricks topics, send in your commentary, talk retro and modern gaming, food, memes, hobbies, backlogs, and anything else you can think of. Catch a live stream or stream your own, all with a group of like-minded retro gaming friends. Be a part of Smashing Bricks at discord.smashingbricks.com. We'll see you there. Now it's time to talk about our game for the month, and it is called Rocket Knight Adventures. Now, Rocket Knight Adventures is one of those games that it has a reputation for being a definitive title on the SEGA Genesis. Came out in the year 1993, August in Japan and North America, September in the EU. Developed and published by Konami. I wrote down it's a side-scrolling action platformer. Kyle just told me you said it was an action game in your mind, and I said, yeah, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. It's also a platformer, but it's not one of those games where you have to be precise about jumping on little things. I think that's probably what makes the distinction for you. Is that right?
Oh my God, you do have to be precise though. Oh my God, yeah. The later parts of this game.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but it's God. More like, we'll get to that. It gets a little bullet helly. Bright and colorful visuals, a lot of parallax going on, a lot of expressions in your characters. Really, really pops on the screen. There are 7 stages, each one having a bunch of smaller areas, so you never really know when it's about to end. And you primarily do running side to side, jumping up and down. You use your sword to slash and also shoot out basically a sonic boom out of your sword. And then you have the titular rocket attack, which you charge up and then release to shoot Sparkster, our hero, in any direction, basically.
Game-changing mechanic.
Yes. Yeah, that is kind of what they came up with to differentiate from everybody else. And there's a little bit of a narrative. There's a story. It's like 3 or 4 pages in the manual, and it's about 3 or 4 cutscenes in the game that are silent, and you just kind of have to watch it like a silent film and figure out what's happening. But it's cool. It's cool. So that's the game. Had you played this before?
I did. One time when I was a kid at a friend's house, and he had it, and since it was single player, we didn't play it for very long because we all wanted to play multiplayer and stuff. But when everyone went to bed, I played it for a little while, but I vaguely remembered it.
Okay. Yeah, I had never played this. I'd always heard about it, and it was in the back of my mind as, that's a game that I should play one day, because obviously I wasn't a Genesis kid, as I've mentioned numerous times on the show.
Yep,
I had a Super Nintendo, and I got it late even. So by 1993, maybe this is the year that I got my Super Nintendo, which came out in 1991 in the States. It took me a while. But yeah, never played this game starring an opossum, the American creature who eats ticks out of your backyard and plays dead, and is actually a really nice animal, even though it's horrifying if it if it puts on the correct expression to horrify you. I think they're kind of cute in their own little way.
And they're rabies
So they're basically the perfect backyard friend.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. So so that's our history. Let's talk a little bit about the game history and then get right to it.
Hell yeah.
All right. So Rocket Knight Adventures. As we said, it came out in 1993. There was some stuff going on in 1993. There were some games. I listed a few that had some similarities to this, like Mega Man X, Gunstar Heroes. Even Star Fox had a little bit of a similarity. Disney's Aladdin was also on the Genesis. Castlevania Rondo of Blood on the what was that? The PC CD engine. What am I trying to say? The TurboGrafx CD is what I meant to say.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, that's right.
Shinobi 3, Batsugun. These are games that are either like side-scrolling action or shooters. And then some other games came out this year. We're going to talk about more of them in bonus round. If you hop over to Patreon and want to get in on that, we're going to talk about the games of 1993. A couple others that are very significant to gaming history are Doom and Link's Awakening that came out the same year as this one. So that's kind of what was going on. What were you doing in 1993 as far as gaming?
I believe we had just gotten a Super Nintendo.
Yeah, you were also on the poor kid delay.
Oh yeah, very, very, and I was deep into Super Street Fighter.
Right,
Super Street Fighter 2,
which landed this year,
mm-hmm.
I think, in the arcade. So you're probably going to arcades and playing the heck out of that.
Yep.
This team wasn't super notable. It was directed by Nobuya Nakazato, who worked on Contra 3: The Alien Wars prior to this, as well as some staff that came over from that game were working on this game. And then afterward, they worked on Contra Hardcore. And Nakazato also worked on Symphony of the Night later on in a lesser capacity. Which is interesting, because we also had composers from famous Konami works, like Michiru Yamane, working on this game. This person was the composer on Castlevania Symphony of the Night. And Akira Yamaoka, from Silent Hill fame, also did some part of the score of this game. I just don't know what. There are a bunch of tracks. Yeah. I wonder which one was. It's probably the one that I don't like because it's like so harsh, but who knows? So this game was made because Konami wanted a mascot in 1993. Mario existed for a while. Sonic was somewhat new, right? Konami wanted their own anthropomorphic animal with a little attitude and a little speed, right? But they didn't want to just make a fast opossum. So they came up with the Rocket Boost and originally called this guy Booster.
Oh, I
changed
like
it
that
to Sparkster. And that's what we got. As for ports and remakes and legacy of this game, there was a Super Nintendo version planned, but it was canceled. Then the much inferior Sparkster Rocket Knight Adventures 2 came out on the Genesis the next year. Then there was a spin-off Sparkster for the Super Nintendo in 1994. A little better than Rocket Knight Adventures 2, in my opinion. But I don't think it was as good as this game. And then they revived the series in 2010 on the 360 and the PS3 and on Steam with the game Rocket Knight, which I now want to play. And there was a compilation of the first three games titled Rocket Knight Adventures Resparked in June 2024, not so long ago, for the Switch, the PS4, PS5, and Windows. And Sparkster's been in a bunch of other things, kind of as a cameo appearance for some of the Konami games and whatnot.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, neither did I until I looked into this. Because I didn't know who Sparkster really was. But he's kind of cool. Scores for this were all over the place.
I can see
from
that.
60% up to 95% for about an 83% average. Very mixed reception. No awards of note. And the only kind of list that I saw was a 1995 readers poll in Sega Saturn magazine, ranking it number 145 of all Sega Mega Drive titles, or Genesis, same thing. I'm not going to go through any of these scores individually because they, as I said, they're all over the place. Unless is there one publication that you particularly love, Kyle, that we can check on?
For me, growing up, the reliable ones were always like EGM.
EGM gave it a solid 8 out of 10. All 5 of their reviewers gave an 8 out of 10. And Famitsu, another very popular and important magazine, gave it all 7 out of 10 with their 4 reviewers. So there we go. All right, so that is what they all thought about it. But what did we think about it? Because we played it.
We did play it.
We played it.
Played it a lot.
All right. So we played Rocket Knight Adventures for the Sega Genesis, Sega Mega Drive. And what's the first thing that stood out to you about this game? I like starting there because sometimes a game gives a good first impression or a first impression at all. What was your first impression?
It was cohesive. Like there was a vision of a character and like a universe that seemed very well thought out.
Okay.
Like they clear-cut villain. Like the intro video is great. I also played this on the Resparked one, so I got a nice anime video for that. But yeah, it was just like it was dripping with personality every step of the way.
Yeah, visually, if we want to like hone in on the graphics maybe to start.
Sure.
So bright, colorful, lots of expressions, right?
Yeah.
On Sparkster and on your enemies. Whenever you would like hit enemies, they would wince, grimace.
Yeah.
Sparkster himself, when he gets hit, he goes from like super confident, all about being a hero, to like, oh no, I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
Sometimes looked at the camera a little bit, and pretty big sprites, heavy outlines, bright colors, good like parallax in the background. I liked a lot.
Yeah.
And smooth, right? Like everything kind of flowed very well as you moved across the screen, I felt.
I would say, yeah, the aesthetic and the cohesiveness and the graphics were the first thing, but then, you know, I'd say 5 minutes into it, you're like, wow, this game has extremely tight controls. And when they introduce the aspect of verticality, you're like, okay. And they actually don't let you progress until you figure out how to use your jetpack. There's various places for that. And so if you go hard on the jetpack, I don't want to get too deep into this, or maybe you want me to, but
yeah, go for it. Yeah, we can just drift into control because it's part of this cohesive feeling. I feel like the visuals and the controls, everything just kind of like meshes. What you see on screen looks like what you want to do, and what you have in your hands makes it happen exactly how you expect it.
Right. And the level design is brilliantly built in that they know that you're going to want to like rush through some levels and use the jetpack a lot. And so they'll put like things out of reach that are right at the end of where you'd have to use a jetpack, or they put an enemy at a spot where if you use the jetpack to fly forward, that enemy is there to slow you down on a jetpack. Like, hey, don't use your jetpack every 2 seconds, you know? So the level design is extremely tight, and you can tell that they went over like every frame that you play of this game with like a fine-tooth comb.
Yeah, so essentially, if we want to get a little bit more deep into how it feels to control, so it is an action slash platformer, so you have your, moving side to side and jumping, but then the combat is kind of what makes it different. You're not jumping on heads here, and you're not rolling through enemies as some of the other Mascot platformers would do. Here you're doing combat. It's, as I said, it kind of is related to Mega Man, like a run and gun in some aspects of the game. And you have essentially like three ranges of combat with Sparkster because he carries a sword. He's
Yep.
and he's so cool. He's a possum, but he's wearing like a knight's armor almost, and he has a sword and a rocket on his back, I guess. But so you can hit enemies that you're right standing up against, but you're also shooting out this sonic boom, but it doesn't go super far. It goes maybe what, like a quarter of the screen
I would say it's like
horizontally?
2 to 3 character length.
Yeah, not super far, but it's like a mid range. And then if you hold down the action button, which I think is the A button on the Genesis, it charges up a meter on top of the screen
Yep.
very quickly,
Very
which
quickly.
I super appreciate. And when you let it go, he blasts off across the screen, across the entire screen and beyond, depending on how much space there is until you hit something that stops you, as you were talking about. And his sword is out in front of him like a lance, and it performs a pretty high damage attack on whatever you're attacking.
It's such an interesting game because no game mechanic overstays its welcome, or no pacing overstays its welcome, or even
Yeah.
like aesthetic theme. There's like a minecart thing that comes and goes very, very briefly, and they don't even reuse any of like the functionality of that, the minecart itself. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it definitely, like, a lot of the times you see a game that does that and then they rehash it later on because they're like, we need to get more value. We spent all this time developing our gosh darn minecart, and we have to get more value out of it. Like, tack it on at the end and create another hour for players or something like that. Or there's like animations that only a small amount of characters will use or whatever, and it's so brilliantly paced in that regard that you just can't wait to get to the next area. Like, levels sometimes seem a little long because it's an incredibly difficult game, and we can talk about that later. But getting to the next area is rewarding. You're like, oh, what are they going to do? Oh, I'm flying into space. Oh, I'm hitting a zeppelin or whatever, all this stuff. And yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
brilliant. It's got a lot of interesting stuff going on to it.
Yeah, the first time I really felt that was, I guess, in the second section of the first stage. So you go through in your kind of like Green Hill Zone adjacent area that you start off in, and you fight a boss up on the bridge. He shoots some fire at you. You do some rocket attacks. You kill him. Not so tough. Just throw some bombs. You hit them out of the air. Then it immediately goes to a second phase. So two-phase boss right in the first level. Now you're, I don't, it's hard to tell. It's kind of a blue background. To me, it seems like you're drifting down the river or down the waterfall, and the tank is now bouncing around, kind of like a Legend of Zelda boss. And you kill that thing. It's a little bit more demanding because it's moving around quickly. And once you do, you're immediately dropped onto this platform with a little power up that you're not familiar with unless you've read through the manual. And you touch it, and Sparkster leaps into the air super heroically with the music in the background, puts his goggles on for flying. And now you're flying across the screen doing basically a shooter, like a shoot 'em up game,
Yep.
and just knocking enemies out of the sky. And then you fight another little boss character, or mini boss, I guess. But in that moment, after beating the boss, dropping down and jumping into this flying mode, I just felt like so heroic and like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was really cool. And it was in that moment that I was thinking, man, this is trying to give me an experience. And as you said, is trying to usher me from interesting gameplay to interesting gameplay
Yep.
to interesting gameplay whenever it could. It did have some simple levels. Like right after that is just like basic run walking through like a castle or something. But you need some of that because that
You
also
do.
introduces new mechanics. Like that's where you first find out you can bounce off walls using your charge
Yep.
attack,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, and
Very
like
cool.
you need those to split up the pacing, right? Like not everything can be a super fast like flying moment, but the R-type esque
That's
levels
true.
were really cool, and it forces you to learn new enemy patterns and just kind of new ways of surviving. Because as as the game ramps up, the difficulty exponentially increases, and
Mm.
uh, it it harkens back to that time in games when I think Aladdin and The Lion King were built like this, especially The Lion King. It was they didn't want people to beat the game in a weekend, like rent it and then be done with it. So they made
Yeah.
a lot of these games like extremely hard because you can beat this game in like 3 hours if you do like a 2 3 hours.
Yeah. How long to beat says 2 hours.
Yeah,
And I said, yeah, right. I played on
yeah.
children difficulty, by the way.
Is there a
Um,
children difficulty?
yeah, there's children, easy, normal, hard. But I think it only changes the number of lives you have. I don't think it changes anything else, as far as I could tell.
Got it. Yeah, I use the rewind feature that's on like some of these new games.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
I know it's
That,
blasphemous,
yeah,
um, but I don't have the time to play this for 20 hours, and
yeah.
talk about it. But I do like that feature. I think it's a really useful feature to use in something like this, so that you can
Mm-hmm.
see like this piece of art that they created is fantastic. But I will say, like, if I was a young kid and I played through this game, this would have taken me days of like
Mm-hmm.
nonstop enemy pattern memorization. Holy shit, the ending is hard.
For me, I spent a long time kind of getting acquainted with the game, and early on, I wasn't sure how I was gonna talk about it, and I had some negative thoughts because it was difficult, like so you always get a little frustrated when you play a difficult game. So I was
Yep.
like, oh man, I don't really want to play this anymore. But then, you stick with it because if you were a kid when you played this game, you would have to because that's your game. That's what you got. So I played through for a while and I used the save states on the emulator and played through the game to a degree. But then my final visitation of the game was yesterday, and I just played it straight through, and all of a sudden, it all had clicked from my training. Everything
Oh,
prior was training in the game, but this time I played all the way pretty much to the seventh stage clean.
get out of
Just
here.
like, just like I had, my Genesis. And it was great. I mean, of course, I got smoked a little bit jumping back and forth behind the waterfall against that kind of worm boss, because that is really hard to wrap your brain around. How did you feel about that one in particular, by the way?
Yeah, I found a spot on the map that I could almost permanently
Oh,
not
you
get hit.
cheesed it. Okay.
And
I did
and
not find that spot.
one thing I found, this is a tip for anyone that wants to play it. There is an incredible amount of iframes on the dash.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of broken how good the dash is, and you can absolutely, I want to say cheese, but you can just kind of keep charging that and keep using it on some of the bosses, and if you know their relative flow, you can wreck some stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting you describe it as iframes because I mean, it is obviously, but the way that I see it, like
Yeah.
visually, is oh, this is an attack. So I'm the aggressor here. My sword is in front of me, so I'm not getting hurt, and it makes a lot of sense. Like, because you're blasting through. Like, what if there are shots coming at you from enemies or whatever? If you use that dash, you go right through all that stuff. But interestingly enough, you also get iframes when you hit an enemy, like a boss that takes multiple hits. If you're hitting it and it's receiving damage, it can't deal damage to you.
What?
so you can like hang out in it. Yeah, I noticed that if I was hitting it rapidly up close and then it was still in that sort of like flashing moment where it's taking damage, it wasn't hurting me, even if our sprites were overlapped.
Huh. That's
That's
good
why
to know.
you can do, oh, this is something we didn't mention. In addition to the dash attack or the rocket boost attack, I don't know what it's called in the manual, but you can do a charge and not press a direction, and Sparkster will do like a little somersault in place, and that will get you multiple hits on whatever you're attacking, as long as you can line it up
Yep.
well. Because it's kind of hard. You have to be like right up against them,
Yep.
so you can screw yourself over by attempting that. But like there were times when I would get it right, and I would feel like I was melting the boss with multiple hits, and I'm like, yes,
Yeah,
landed it.
it was kind of fun doing that. Like you could jank yourself into an enemy animation, and then uh, Sparkster would like spin. He does this like
Mm-hmm.
spinning in place thing, and you do multiple hits really fast. And I don't I
Yeah.
don't know if it's cheesing, but it works really well.
No, that's part of the game. That's fine. That's normal. Because at the same time, you could get yourself stuck in a bad position, whether an enemy attack or like part of the environment. Like for example, there's this fish boss in one of the levels that I did not enjoy, um, where there's lava, and if you touch it, you can just watch your health go down real fast.
I hated
Like
that boss. I
I
hated it
hated that boss so much.
because you could only hit him when the guy was jumping out of it. I found,
Yeah.
unless I'm wrong about that, but ugh.
No, that's true. And I think this conversation reveals something specific about the design philosophy of the bosses. I felt like the thesis statement of the boss fights in this game was observe a pattern,
Yep.
take your time,
Yep.
focus on defense and avoidance for
Oh
a
yeah.
period, and wait for the correct opportunity to strike.
Yes.
And
Yes.
most of them had that.
Yeah, and then you get to the doppelganger of yourself, and throws everything out the window, and you just want to throw your controller out the window as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that one, the first phase was fine, but then you end up going up a screen and you're like in space and it
Yep.
seems like the wall had been blown out, so everything's getting sucked out and
Yep.
you're holding on to this series of vertical pipes, I guess, that you can move forward and away.
Yep.
And he's flying around and like he's gonna hit you and you're gonna fly out. And
Right.
I did not beat that part. So that's where my game ended right
Oh
there.
shoot. Okay. Yeah, it was that part was really annoying because he was going off screen a lot, and then he would like zoom in and hit you, and it was really
Right.
hard. The Oh dude, you missed some harrowing stuff later on.
I
Uh
watched a video of some of the later stuff, but
it's so
well,
unpredictable. There's so much game knowledge you have to learn, and I seriously cannot imagine trying to beat this game without, like, on a hard difficulty with low lives.
yeah, it would be
No.
really tough.
No. You know that Japanese TV show where it was like they lock a guy in a room and he can't leave it until he finished the game?
No, I don't know that, but
There
you
yeah,
would not want to be on that with this game.
I no. No, I would rather play Ninja Gaiden 1 and
Oh my
do
god.
that than this game. I don't know, there's something about this game that I I don't want to say it's unfair, but it just seems at times like it's trying to eat your quarters.
Yeah. I don't think it's unfair either. Like after spending quite a bit of time with it and getting frustrated early on and then kind of finding my zen with it,
Yeah.
I think I think it is masterable.
Yes.
Because I discovered that there are some spots in the game where there's a lot of stuff going on, and if you're calm, you can just stand still.
Yep.
And you find a spot, you like watch on the screen, you process the pattern, and you're like, if I just stand right here and be patient, I can weather this storm. And then it's my turn. There's that one boss on the airship. It's like a slinky pig robot that takes up the whole screen and does a weird hula hoop dance and knocks all kinds of
Oh,
detritus from the ceiling.
I
And
hated
at
that one.
first, the first time I tried it, it was impossible. I was like, because I was aggressive and I was trying to go for it. But then I said, wait a second. Let me wait, pause, breathe. All the stuff came flying in, and then I was like, okay, I'll jump and swing, and it'll shoot my little sonic boom into his center of his stomach slinky sweet spot, and then dodge the next thing and jump again and do it again. Just calm. Okay, one hit. Okay, I'm down. I'm dodging. Jump again. One hit. Okay,
Yep,
wait.
yep.
And
And that
then I made it through.
and
Just like that.
that pacing kind of was messing with me because it's like, wait, you want me to avoid all this stuff and then get one hit in and that's it?
Yeah. And you
Oh,
don't expect it because the level leading up to that is go, go, go. It's
yes.
constant,
Yep.
right? So it's like a disconnect, but I like that a little bit once I figured out how to navigate these boss fights, which are so cool looking. Like they managed to do a lot with the Genesis that I was not expecting. For example, that part where you do the Rock'em Sock'em robots, there are these two giant. The main enemy that you fight later, the doppelganger, he jumps in this robot, and then you have to run away, which is pretty cool, high intensity, right? As
Yeah.
he's chasing you, you're doing that dash constantly and jumping and going. And then you jump in your own one, and now it's just these two giant things, the entire screen, and you press attack, and their arms are like made up of, well, I don't know what it is, 7, 8, 9 separate little circular sprites that represent their arms, and they
Yeah.
just rock 'em, sock 'em robot, and that's how
Yeah.
you hit the guy.
And
Very inventive. This game
uh,
did a lot of stuff that was meant to be like, oh, gamers haven't seen this before.
yeah, let's throw something new at it. Let's completely change the pace. But then you realize there's only one attack, and the best way to win that fight is to just stand back and let him come to you. And if you
Yeah.
go, and it's funny because if
Spacing.
you, yeah, spacing, because if you go to him, the animation of you moving forward can't be interrupted to attack. So there's literally no reason for you to move forward. And another interesting part about that, did you see the blue lights in the background?
In that fight?
Yeah.
No, I was not paying attention to
Okay.
anything but the space between us. The space between.
Sounds like a relationship thing. Um,
Yeah.
no, but they had these blue lights in the background to kind of show that you guys are in occupying a large space and moving backwards
Oh.
and forwards in the space. Because if there was just black background, it would just feel like you're locked into like a small boxed in area. So that was kind of clever, I
Yeah.
thought. But the controls are so limited. Actually, that was probably my least favorite part about the whole thing because, like, there's all these moments that were like, you know, super high skill ceiling and really big tests of your ability to kind of read the new situation you're in and how to navigate it. And then all of a sudden, there's this one button Rock'em Sock'em robot. If I was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
that probably would have been my favorite part of the whole game. But now
Yeah.
as an adult, I'm just like, oh man, like it's just about the context. It's no longer about the gameplay. So I don't know. I'm sour
Mm-hmm.
on that part.
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah, just like I was sour and I guess you were sour on that fish boss, which you know what I think I'm gonna do? I wanna like mention parts of the game and get your and my reactions for
Okay.
them. So the fish boss I think is next. So this fish boss, there are two platforms, one on either side, and he takes up one of those sides, and the side that you're on turns to all lava with multiple little platforms floating along towards his ingesting mouth, as well as some platforms in the air, and they're not regularly spaced. There will be gaps between them, and as he's sucking them in, you have to jump to the next ones. And I liked how Sparkster kind of gets snapped to those platforms
Yeah.
more easily than you would expect, which I think is pretty cool and very forgiving. But overall, that boss just felt laborious.
Ugh. I really appreciated the way that the characters snapped onto different things.
Yeah. In general, throughout the game, you mean?
Yeah, in general.
Yeah.
Like the mine
Like the
carts.
mine carts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You snap onto them, and I think without that feature, I think the game would have been significantly harder. It reminds me a lot of shooters, how instead of killing you outright, you'll go down to like 1 health.
Mm-hmm.
And the game is like, okay, don't mess up. We're gonna give you this, like, oh, you
Yeah.
barely survived that. It seemed like the game was giving us like a freebie.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate it.
But then it also afforded them the opportunity to play with that, because in the minecart stage, there are regular carts and then flashing ones, and the flashing ones don't snap you to them. So it gives you the opportunity to like make a little bit of more of a skill check out of it.
Absolutely. It was some of those moments on the minecart really had me. I had to like pause it and walk away for a little while.
Realizing that you had to duck at the one point or else you would get hit took me a long time. Where you're going up and down these hills and there are spikes above you, and I'm like, how do I avoid this? And I was like, oh, I duck.
Well, it's funny because I was actually holding down the whole time, weirdly enough.
Just for the heck of it?
Yeah. I was like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
And then there were some other parts in there, like, just the timing of things. With that scene, though, the minecart one, did you use your, like, dash?
On the minecart?
Yeah.
No. What happens if you do that?
It, like, sticks to you, and you can just, like, immediately eliminate enemies from across the screen. Like, there are so many times in that game, I felt like I cheated it a little bit because I kept using the dash, and it just solved all my problems.
Yeah, it was helpful in a lot of places. But I think that's why it's tuned to such a high degree of difficulty and precision in a lot of ways, because you do have these powerful tools, or this one powerful tool at your disposal.
Yeah.
What relates to that? I don't know, but let's talk about something else. How did you feel about some other interesting things, like the reflective lava in that? I don't know if what level is the third
I made a note about that. Yeah, I was
really
like,
cool.
Well, here's another example of like the level design being really well. So yeah, you're playing this thing at this level, the lava's rising, and then the stalactites, or like the ceiling of the mine, will overhang in front of like the platforms that you're supposed to jump on. And so what I saw, like where I needed to go, like the platform that was visible, and so I did the dash, and my dash wasn't far, like, more powerful enough to reach it. It was almost, and so I like fell into the lava. And so it's like they're baiting you to use the jetpack, and then they're like, no, can't do that. And so I was like, wait, how do I get there? And then I was sitting there for a second, and all of a sudden I saw the platform reflected in the lava, and I was like, oh, that's clever. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I just, every time I saw one of these things, I was like, oh, I haven't seen that done anywhere, or in very few places, you know? Like even what I was talking about before, going behind the waterfall and in front of it, you had like Super Mario World where you climb on the chain link fence and spin around to the back. But it was much more limited. You didn't have all this free motion. In this game, you have the full freedom in the foreground and in the background, and you swap back and forth pretty rapidly between the front and the back. What else? What about on top of the airship where the wind is blowing you? I got kind of frustrated there at first. The guy's throwing barrels. There are barrels rolling at you and bouncing at you, and the wind is pushing you back constantly. So if you swing your sword, you lose momentum. So anytime you're not pressing forward, you're falling backward. And then it has kind of like, almost like checkpoints in the form of poles on top of this airship, because Sparkster will catch them and like dangle like a cliffhanger scene with his feet flying back.
That was really good. The barrels really pissed me off.
They left you speechless.
They did. It was really cool too because again, kudos to the level designer. You try to use the jetpack to get farther. You're like, oh, I'm on this thing. I'll just use my jetpack to get ahead. And then it reminds you, like, dude, you're on top of an airplane. You think you're gonna fly faster on your jetpack than this? And so you actually, if you try to go up or diagonal forward, it pushes you back. And so you have to be like, okay, I'm gonna walk on the top of this, and I'm gonna try go slow. And all of a sudden they toss these barrels at you that seem to not have any kind of pattern. And so you got to be on your toes the whole time.
Yeah, at times I'd be like, okay, that's 2 bouncing ones. Definitely going to be a rolling one. Oh, it's a bouncing one. Or, oh, that's a rolling one. They usually don't double up the rolling ones. Oh, there's a second rolling one. What? And then it's just this little stupid pig guy at the end, and you kill him in 1 hit.
Yep, that's it. And then he runs off. Like, he runs away, I think.
Yeah, they set up these little, they're almost like set pieces, right? There's another one where when you first get into the ship, there's just a dude, another little pig guy, on the other side of like an energy field that you can't go through. And he's throwing bombs at you. And you have to spike them back at him like you're playing Super Spike V-Ball.
That was fun.
Or like Super Mario 2 or something.
Yep.
And you have to hit him 10 times. That's fun. That's like a different thing.
I was like, what? That one was really annoying because, again, the game throws something new at you. And I was like, okay, I'm dodging this. What do I need to do? I'm dodging. How do I get past this? What is going on? I kept dying. And then I accidentally hit one. And it was a light bulb moment. I was like, oh, you crafty buggers.
I like those light bulb moments. There were a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Oh, the swimming. The water was different in this game than most games because Sparkster floats instead of sinks. And you have to
fight against it.
Wire your brain to always press down to prevent him from floating up. And then it had the level where the water itself was going up and down. And you had to cross all these spikes at different levels on the screen. And that was another moment where I was like, okay, pause for a second. Think about what's happening, rewire your fingers to react to how this game works because it's not like every other game.
Yeah.
Which was cool.
Yeah, and then part of that too was like you could go like move forward and you could get hit by these like spiky things and they would take like 1 or 2 hearts away. And then later on there's like only one section that's like this, but if you get hit by the spikes, it takes away half your life bar.
Oof.
And then and I was like, what? Why am I so low? What is going on? And it's like, okay, I have to slow down here. I can't just take a couple hits and keep running through. So.
Is that the one where you're in water and there's spikes above you and below you and they're moving in like a sine wave pattern?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And then there's a section later where you have to do a few like chases. It's in the 5th stage. You're like dropping down and down and down. You have to get to this little teleporter before these undamageable enemies get there. They kill you instantly. Same thing with the big Rock'em Sock'em robot boss. When you're running away from that, if it touches you once, you're dead immediately.
Those moments definitely felt like quarter eating moments.
Yeah, a lot of frustration, but did it end up clicking ultimately for you and not being frustration anymore, I think is the final question. Yeah. So at the end of every episode on Smashing Bricks, we like to decide whether the game was worth playing, worth revisiting, and whether we would recommend it to people in 2026 and beyond. And if we would, and if it was, it's a smash. But if it wasn't, well, it's more of a brick. So, Kyle.
Yes.
You're up first. What do you say? You're saying yes. You're saying smash.
I think this is a huge smash. I think it's such a great throwback. Not throwback because it obviously came out that time, but like the remastered edition or whatever I played has those like, new quality of life features that we take for granted, like the rewind thing. I would say if this is on sale on any platform that you can get it, like definitely pick it up, go and play it, and it's just like just appreciate all these people coming together for a Save the Princess Possum game. It's cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's inventive.
Yeah. And you're saying the Rocket Knight Adventures Resparked edition with the compilation?
Yeah.
Is what yeah. I want to try Rocket Knight from 2010 also. That seems interesting. It's got the like 3D, 2D graphics, but similar gameplay it looks like. I haven't tried it.
How about you?
I'm gonna go ahead and agree with you. I'm gonna call this a smash, even though at first I was like, I don't know about this, but it definitely grew on me. It's that type of game where you learn it and then you vibe with it and then you love it. I think that was the arc for me.
Yeah.
Sparkster's cool. I love all his expressions. I think he's a great mascot. I wish he became more popular and like was a bigger franchise, but Konami, where did Konami go? They've had an interesting history, so we can't expect that. But yeah, total smash for me. So that's a double smash.
He's a badass little possum.
All right. So with that, Rocket Knight Adventures is a smash and was/is worth revisiting in 2026 and beyond. I do have one commentary here from Ms. Muso. Ah, that Sega sound font, iconic. When listening to this rather excellent soundtrack, it's hard not to compare it to other Sega titles. But wouldn't you know it? Michiru Yamane is one of the composers on Rocket Knight Adventures, better known for Castlevania Symphony of the Night. As for the game itself, this is tougher than it first looks. Takes a moment to master Sparkster's abilities, and I found timing was crucial. Apparently you can do this and take no hits. I won't be attempting that run. Really fun. Every stage is quite different, even if some feel a little short. But there's plenty of challenge. Bosses are interesting. If this hadn't come up on the podcast, I probably wouldn't have come across it. So, a hidden gem in my books. Cool. Thanks, Ms. Muso. And thank you, everyone, for listening and playing along with us if you did. And tell your friends about the show. It's a big deal.
Spread the word.
Helps. Yeah, if you like the show and you know people who like things like this, they'll probably like the show too, so tell them. And if you haven't yet, leave us a review, preferably the maximum review score possible, and write something up if you can. And if you do, I'll read it here on the show. If you want to go above and beyond and support the show monetarily while getting some fun perks, head over to patreon.smashingbricks.com and become a patron for as little as $1 a month. If I get a bunch of people giving $1, that's going to be great. I'm going to be able to make these shows twice as often, hopefully. All patrons get a shout out on the show and patron designation on Discord. Fireflower tier patrons get an extra episode every month, a brand new bonus round episode like we're about to do with the best games of 1993 following this one. You get that every month. And you get to add games to a smaller list that I use to... As a matter of fact, this episode is a power-up episode. That's what I'm talking about right here. This episode was requested by Tins. Tins, this is it. This is your power-up episode. We did it. Thanks, buddy. So yeah, you can get in on the power-up episodes. Tanuki tier patrons get to see my handwritten notes for every episode, as well as ongoing recognition on the show, like Ms. Muso, who is actually a Starman level supporter above the Tanuki tier, is getting right now. Thanks, Ms. Muso. And Starman tier patrons get to be a guest on the show. Links to everything, plus Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff can be found in the episode description and at our link tree, which is links.smashingbricks.com. As for next episode, I'll be joined once again by regular guest James Batchelor, and we will be playing Super Metroid for the Super Nintendo. So get your hands on a copy, play along, send in your thoughts, and join us next time on Smashing Bricks. That wraps it up for today. I'm still Eddie Inzauto. That is Kyle Stallock. Thanks, Kyle. And until next time, may the nostalgia be with you.